Hey guys, I've got a couple of new things I'd like to share with you in my HO scale video that I'll be showing with you today. The first new thing that I got is a puppy. After taking a shower and brushing my teeth, I took this little guy out for a walk. We watched a little bit of TV, and prior to me filming him with this camera, he was taking a nap. Now he seems pretty excited in this thing I've got. His name is Spartacus. He's a rescue. He was born on November 25th of last year, so this little guy is basically 2 months old. Just like with my brother's dog Moose back in 2020 when he was visiting prior to his move to Los Angeles, I'm gonna have Spartacus go downstairs, check out some of the trains that I'm running, but right now he's a little bit too young for that. I don't want him biting and destroying things. I mean, he sure does love to bite, but after a few more weeks and a little bit of training, teaching him how not to bite on certain things, we'll have him downstairs. But right now we're going to let him continue getting his nap. The other new things are actually gifts from the Thunderbird Zero, another YouTuber that I actually know in person. And while he doesn't post much on his channel anymore, he and I keep in touch, and we're always good friends. So anyway, during a trip to Massachusetts, he took the liberty, I didn't even ask him to do this, he took the liberty of actually getting me a couple of new things for my layout, this being the Spiteful brake fan, a Railway Express Agency cab over truck. Could be wrong, but this kind of looks like one of those trucks done by the White Company that made a lot of trucks until going bankrupt in 1986. A Corvette convertible, possibly a 57 or 56. And finally, I got a Bachmann Mavis. This is a used model that cost him 65 bucks. And we were testing this on Saturday during his visit after giving me this. Unfortunately, part of the couplers are missing, both on the front and rear, and the motor isn't exactly in good shape. It runs, but unfortunately, Mavis's motor is not in the best condition. The throttle's set to slightly above half power. Nothing is happening. That's probably because my fault. I might have put the wheels on the wrong spot. Yeah, there we go. Now you can see. She's not really going very far. But, you know, once I get the modifications done to improve her motor and fix those couplings, she will provide a very important asset to my layout. You know, I know the Thunderbird Zero said sorry when we found out this engine wasn't running. I mean, you should have seen the look on his face. He was very upset. You know, I told him that it was fine because I know he got scammed. It's unfortunate that a model in this poor condition cost him $65. If anything, I would have sold a model like this to someone for like $10. Or, if I was giving this away to a friend, I'd just let him have it for free and throw in actually $100. That way, they could spend money for the repairs. Well, my money, actually, because I'm giving it to them. Yeah, that's what I would do if I was giving someone a model that wasn't in good condition. I think everyone should do that. You know, it's unpleasant when these things happen, but like I said, I am grateful that my friend went out of his way to do something that I didn't ask him to do. You know, I never actually wanted a Mavis, but you know what? She's a fine engine. I know she'll do great. on some of my freight operations, but for now, we're going to take her off the track and switch to another female engine with 6 drivers, Rosie. She's also good for pulling freights, but today we're going to have a mixed train instead. We have 5 freight cars to her left, 3 of Emily's coaches further back, and then we're going to take the spiteful brake van out of his box and place him behind the consist. Alright, Mystery Central is out of his box. Now, hopefully he won't have to worry about any Scottish 060 tender engines smashing him to pieces, but we are also hoping that he does not cause any trouble. He is called the Spiteful Brake Van for a reason, but I am trusting that he will behave during this session. Right now we have to get Rosie coupled up to her cars. The 5 freight cars she'll be pulling are a Wisconsin Central boxcar, a hopper, a tanker, and 2 more boxcars. I guess I'm going to have to clean that curve. This part can also be a bit tricky since the couplers are different, but if you maneuver the hook into the correct part of the knuckle, you can get these two to stay together. And observe. Wrong way. To be fair, there was a bit of an issue in pulling out of the siding, but we'll just check the couplings on the other part of the train and then we will be good to go. Fortunately, everything's coupled on and we are ready to proceed. Sort of. I never said this was easy, but you can pull this off. I'd say that's looking better now. Let's try again for round 2. It seems that the spiteful brake van is causing trouble after all. He has bribed the passenger cars that cannot speak and don't have any faces to consistently decouple themselves from this boxcar. Although I do remember a fan fiction someone wrote where Emily's coaches did actually have the ability to speak and he actually did give them faces. But because they are causing trouble and have joined the villainous, spiteful brake van in creating evil schemes, we are going to put them back in the siding and replace them with a couple of more freight cars. The rest of the cars should be fine. They haven't tried to uncouple from Rosie, but there's a couple of things I have to pick up anyway, and you'll see what they are very soon, because I'm using a gondola and the depressed flat car. And with the other 3 cars coupled on and ready to go, it is time to have Rosie pull out with her new adjusted consist. This switch is giving us some trouble here. Now we're getting somewhere. We will be required to pick up these dominoes. Along with these 4 sports cars, we have 2 from the 60s and 2 from the 90s. We have a Corvette, a Mustang, a Ferrari, and a BMW. There are also 2 dominoes on the ground here, which we will also pick up as we transport the vehicles. First, we'll watch Rosie perform a couple more laps before picking up our loads. There's a couple of more dominoes that just popped up out of nowhere, so we might as well start the pickups now. It may be a bit difficult, but I'm sure Rosie can manage. We'll load up the cars first. We're going to put 2 of them in the gondola. Would have been nice if it could have been more, but unfortunately, not all of them fit, as you can see with this Corvette. So that'll go on the depressed flat car. The Mustang, on the other hand, fits, so that'll go in there. The Ferrari will be behind it. And the BMW will join the Corvette. Now, it might be a little tricky to have these 2 avoid falling off, so what we're actually going to do is use a couple of the dominoes and prop them up underneath a couple of the dominoes. So let's do that first. Put a couple of these up. Alright, well that didn't go the way I anticipated, but that might actually help if we do it like that. The BMW looks a little awkward because it looks like it's doing a wheelie, but we can't really help that. Or this setup could work. We'll also be moving a few more dominoes out of the way, so that could help. These 5 will be picked up later. And Rosie is ready to proceed. Currently, we will drop off the cars and dominoes here, and they will be transferred to other locations as we pick up the next load of dominoes. I thought it'll be a little easier to see without the flashlight in this specific spot, but luckily we have more light over here. You can see the 4 cars have been unloaded. We just got to get these dominoes off, and presto, we can proceed. Once again, we'll perform a few more run-bys before proceeding with our pickups. The 5 dominoes that were at this curve were moved to the other stash to make the pickup a little easier. Well, actually much easier. It'd be more convenient to stop to pick up all the dominoes at one place instead of stopping at 2 locations to pick up only like 5 where you only have like 30 at the others. And now to get all the dominoes off the ground onto the depressed flat car as well as the gondola. So I was actually wrong. I said there were 5 dominoes at that one curve and 25 over here. But I wasn't that far off because I'm counting all the dominoes we have. There are 12 in the gondola and 10 on the flat car, so there's actually 22, not 30. But if I ever want more to make it 30, I can always grab some out of those 2 boxes over there. We better get a move on though, because it looks like the conductor is getting impatient in there. So I'm going to head back to the controls and get Rosie ready to go. It's funny because after I said that, I actually left to go to Studio Route 29 in Frenchtown, and I was there for a couple of hours. And I literally realized just now that I have had my controller plugged in this entire time without doing anything for 2 hours. I don't know what's wrong with me, but we are going to get Rosie started on her freight here. Or I should say restarted, since I took a brief hiatus. Luckily, everything still seems to be running fine, but that is definitely a mistake I will not be doing ever again. Now, I did mention that Rosie's journey here might be difficult, but this seems to be the only place where she's struggling. There's a bit of a brief power outage because she's also going uphill. There was wheel slip, but it seems that her wheels have gotten grip and she's running away. Good Lord. Well, it was nice while it lasted. And maybe having her derail at that specific spot where some of these dominoes used to be, this could be a sign. Maybe I was supposed to drop them off here anyway. After all, the boxes are here, so we might as well get them off the train and put them back. There's something else I've been meaning to try with a few of these other flat cars anyway. And that is logging operations. A few guys working for Norfolk Southern actually gave me a knife in this box as a birthday gift a couple months ago. And the reason I am bringing this up is because I've got a few pieces of wood that I'd like to cut into smaller pieces so they can actually fit on my flat cars. Now, I could buy some pieces of wood from a website where, you know, they have like these wooden pieces that are actually made out of plastic. But I want the wood pieces on my layout to not only look realistic, but also have some more variety, so you can have like different shapes and whatnot. And another thing I like about this knife is that because it was given to me by a few employees from Norfolk Southern, You can't really see because of the lighting. I apologize. Let me grab something off my phone here so you can have an easier time seeing the logo. I think you already know where this is going. Because it was given to me from a few guys from Norfolk Southern, their railroad logo is on here. And you know, I don't usually care much for knives, but I figured if I'm going to get a gift from some railroad guys, I might as well put it to use. Now they also say measure twice, cut once. And even though I don't have a ruler, I think the flat cars themselves will be very good to use on determining what size the wood pieces should be. I've considered using the gondola as well, but I would prefer the actual flat cars. I mean, do you ever see a piece of wood like this being transferred in the gondola? I didn't think so. The only trouble is my camera died. I'm having that charge where I filmed this segment with my cell phone. But I will show you the final products when I'm done using this. And I actually just figured out I can record myself doing this. I just propped my phone on part of the washer here and we're good. I'll admit I might have overestimated the sharpness and strength of this knife. With a few smaller pieces of wood, it does come in handy. Now I'll admit I got a little lazy and used my hands to get these pieces off of one of the sticks I obtained, but I still think it looks pretty good. I really want to use this piece as well, but as you can see it's still too long. I gotta do some more work to have it shortened. But I will get it on one of my flat cars eventually. This one's also going to take a while to cut through. But just like this straight piece here, I'd like to have it on that Northern Pacific flat car. I'll save the rest of the progress for a separate video, but for now we're going to move on to another freight with another locomotive. One load's better than none, so at least we made some progress in that regard. And I thought it would be a little amusing if we had one of these flat cars carrying a flat car for our next train. I actually changed my mind and decided to put the upside down flat car in a gondola. That way the couplers wouldn't be too close to each other. Like if I had the flat car on the flat car, the couplers would have been like right next to each other and it probably wouldn't be able to allow the cars to be coupled up together. I also changed the caboose. We're going to give the B&O bay window a break. And Erie Lackawanna C303 will do the honors of bringing up the rear of our freight. And as you can probably tell, because of this Norfolk and Western boxcar being the first one on the train, our locomotive will be from the same railroad, the fictional GP50. Now this is actually a fictional livery for the GP50 because Norfolk and Western never had any, but there were many other variations of the general purpose locomotives that they did have. One example being the GP35, and they also had some older models such as the GP30, GP9. Actually in 1955 the GP9 was actually one of the very first diesels that the N&W acquired to replace steam. The engine is coupled up to its consist. So we're going to start giving the controller some juice here and have number 6508, the fictional GP50, depart with its load. Our cars are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, if you don't include the caboose. Mavis is looking pretty sad there, but we will get her repaired and have her ready to go soon to pull other freights. For now, let's enjoy the sight of this black diesel. I believe it's time to give the Spiteful Brake Van and the Green Coaches another chance. While it is fun seeing the Thomas and Friends characters pulling this consist, I'd like to switch things up and use a real-life steam engine. The locomotive in question is a 240, and like Emily, she is a classic from the 19th century. This is the Virginia and Truckee's J.W. Bowker, which, if I remember correctly, was constructed in 1875 by the Baldwin Locomotive Works. 240s are not a common sight when it comes to railroading. Generally, you only see these in cartoons pulling circus trains or maybe a couple of passenger cars through a desert. But in the 19th century, there actually were a few on American railroads. And if I remember correctly, this engine also played a role in the 1939 movie Union Pacific, which was jointly created by Paramount and Universal Studios. These are not the same couplers that the coaches or the Spiteful Brake Van have, but I believe we can come to a mutual agreement and have the passenger cars and the Spiteful Brake Van cooperate with Miss Bowker here and follow her as she runs along the line. Unlike most of my other engines, this is a Riva Rossi model, and even though I find their models to be inferior to others like Mahano, Bachmann, or Kato when it comes to reliability, I had to get a 240. Just something about these engines I really like. Like I said, you don't see many of these in real life, especially nowadays, but even during the golden age of steam operations, this wheel arrangement was not common. We have 4 passenger cars as well as a brake van ready to go, so what do you say we get this train running? I haven't run this engine in a while, so it might take a while to warm up. The engine's actually not cooperating, and I think I figured out why. It's because, as I stated earlier, it's unreliable, one of those low-quality Riva Rossi models, and the motor is actually about to burn out. I should also mention it's tender-driven. I don't know if that makes a difference to some of you, but for me, I feel like you're intentionally trying to make it worse by having the motor here instead of where it ought to be, where the actual engine is. I was hoping to give Emily a break, but I guess we'll need her to pull this train after all. She might be a bit cranky about it, but there's not really anything we can do about that. We'll leave Julia Winifred, that's what JW stands for, in her siding here, as Emily, a bigger yet weaker engine, will handle the role. Emily was struggling to pull these 4 coaches in a previous video I did, but that was only with 2 utility vans. I think the Spiteful Brake Van should be fine back there without causing any trouble. So let's get Emily coupled up here, and then we'll get started. Like the J.W. Bowker, Emily actually does have 4 drive wheels. One is actually masquerading as her pilot wheel here. Well, 2 of them, I should say. The other 2, as you probably already know, are these. And unfortunately, that's what makes Emily weaker, because she has 2 drive wheels, and they are bigger, but that makes it better for speed, not tractive effort. As I said, however, she should be fine pulling these cars without any difficulty. Let's begin. A tiny bit of wheel slip did occur during Emily's departure, but obviously that wasn't enough to stop her because she's still rolling. I think that about wraps it up for this video. I will try to get more out as frequently as possible regarding model trains, games, parodies, reaction videos, and a few others. But because of my recent work schedules, I may not be able to post or upload as many videos as I would like to. But I want to thank you for supporting my channel. If you're already subscribed, if you have not already subscribed, I encourage you to do so. Thank you again for watching what I've done here, and I hope to see you again soon.